Today, I am playing 100 Days in Stardew Valley, but I'm a corporate Joja Shill, and I feel no shame. Meet Employee 413, the android sent by Joja Mart. As a capitalist-loving Joja Shill, we will be boycotting Pierre and buying all of our goods solely from the local Joja Mart. Along the way, I've got a few goals I'd like to achieve in 100 days. Buy the Joja membership and complete the Joja community development projects. No buying from Pierre with the exception of bag upgrades and bouquets for gameplay purposes. Create a high-profit factory farm and make at least 500,000 gold. And date all the bachelors and bachelorettes in the town and see the 10 heart event for dating everyone. So with that in mind, let's get right into it. My first day started with some land clearing and the first steps of bringing Grandpa's beloved old farm into the modern era of productivity. Of course, we weren't quite there yet, but it's a start. I picked all the spring onions south of the farm and checked the town's trash cans because every gold was going to matter. Along the way, I introduced myself to the local Joja Mart and its manager Morris. We're gonna be seeing a lot of each other, Morris. I picked up the Joja wallpaper because it was vital to my aesthetic, and then I spent the rest of the day foraging and introducing myself to the local populace. The next morning, Willie gave me a fishing rod and I used it to catch fish for some quick cash that I dumped all on potato seeds. You gotta spend money to make money, and I'm gonna need to make a lot of money to unlock all the Joja community development projects. Day 5 and Marnie was at my door with a stray dog and asked me to adopt him. Felt a bit like a scam as she was trying to convince me to buy into her dog currency, but Employee 413 will do anything for a profit. So I took him in and named him Bitcoin. I harvested my parsnips, watered my potatoes, and was then confronted with Lewis's sob story about a dilapidated old building. Don't worry, Lewis. I will be buying a JojaCo membership, and you will be selling this old building. Trust me. I know what you do with the town's money, and I know you're a greedy capitalist scum just like me. After that, I spent the afternoon fishing so that I could buy the backpack upgrade. A shame I had to use a competitor for this, but you do what you gotta do. The next day was spent doing more fishing. Today must have been a good luck day, because I fished up Neptune's glaive and a diamond. I was so excited about my new sword that I had to go into the mines and try it out. Turns out, Neptune's glaive was way better than the weapons you get at the start of the game. The slimes are gonna fear the wrath of Joja. Then I harvested my potatoes and immediately reinvested all of my money into more potatoes. The rest of the day was spent fishing. Honestly, most of my early money is made from fishing. And by the end of the day, I'd made back everything I spent. That night, a beautiful potato fairy blessed my farm with her goodwill, growing my potatoes instantly. This was a sign that Employee 413 was on the right track, and an omen of good luck. She must believe in capitalism. To celebrate, I bought more potato seeds and picked up the fiberglass rod from Willie. Day 13 was the Egg Festival. Now, if I was going for pure profit, I would invest all of my money into strawberry seeds. These make you a lot of good money in the first year, and even better if you have enough to buy some for year 2. However, we belong to Joja and must strictly boycott Pierre and his devious tactics. So we will be passing on this money-making opportunity. Instead, Employee 413 participated in the egg hunt. I like to imagine these young people having fun, and then there's just this one corporate entity going hardcore into this, pushing Vincent over to get more eggs. The next day, I harvested my potatoes and bought, that's right, more potatoes. I spent the rest of my rainy day in the mines and made it to level 30. And like the completely normal human that I am, I planted my potato seeds at 11:30 at night in absolute darkness. On day 19, Jody sent me a letter and asked me to feed her children. What do I look like to you, Jody? A farmer? I'm a corporate shill. I sold all my cauliflower the day before to feed my money-making machine. I guess your kids are gonna have to starve tonight. After that concerning letter, I went to Clint's to open some geodes, and then I dropped off my pickaxe for its first upgrade. The next day, I started to decorate my farm with some paths. I also started what will be my oak resin, pine tar, and maple syrup farm. Then for some reason, I tried to figure out the layout for basic sprinklers on my own, without an easy-to-acquire guide online for how to lay them out. Yeah, I failed miserably at the sprinklers part. Honestly, don't get too attached to my beautifully sculpted layout. It changed a lot over the next 100 days as I figured out what I actually wanted. The next day, my new copper pickaxe was ready, so I picked it up from daycare and then immediately dropped off my axe for its turn at an upgrade. Then I struggled some more with the sprinklers before I gave up and spent the rest of my day being more productive in the mines. I reached level 50 and got my tundra boots, and after a long hard day of work, I came home and tried to pet Bitcoin. He's probably okay. While I ran my errands for the day, I found Morris absolutely winning the hearts and wallets of the local townsfolk. Funny that you say that you'd be selling at a loss, Pierre, because once you buy a Joja membership, Joja's seed prices are the same as Pierre's seed prices. After that lovely encounter, I gave Abigail an amethyst just to assert my dominance over Pierre. I could smell his fear. It's now day 26, and it's Pierre's birthday. I could never forget my favorite small business owner's birthday, so I celebrated with exactly what I would want for my birthday. A room temperature refreshing Joja Cola, now at 3 times the sorbitol for a thick, sweet blast. Pierre even thanked me for such a wonderful gift. Speaking of birthdays, why don't our player characters have birthdays in Stardew Valley? It's probably the only farming sim that I've played that doesn't let you have a birthday. Day 28, the last day of spring. Today was a day to sell anything I didn't need, cleaned up the farm, and prepared for summer. I spent the entire day rushing around trying to get as much money as possible around the town. I fully intend to spend all of my money on seeds on the first day of summer. The more money I spend, the more money I can make back. I finished out spring year 1 with 15,000 gold. Not bad. Summer is here, and I started things off right by finally purchasing the Joja membership. Now that means that the seeds sold at Joja Mart are the same price as the seeds sold at Pierre's. In most playthroughs I would buy blueberry seeds for the maximum profit. However, blueberry seeds are only sold at Pierre's and not Joja, so I can't fill my fields with them. Instead, I went for melons, being the next most profitable crop at this point, some hops to turn into pale ales, and some pepper seeds to get some profit sooner since the melons take so long to grow. Questionably, I didn't have my sprinklers ready for summer, so it's going to be a lot of manual watering until I finally get that going. On day 31, Mayor Lewis made the mistake of entrusting the Joja's Shill to find his lucky purple shorts. He just didn't realize it yet. On day 33, I stumbled my way to the traveling cart and happened to spot 1 pack of blueberry seeds. This was an amazing find for this run. I could not normally buy blueberry seeds as Pierre had the market cornered, but the traveling cart smuggled some through for us. Now I could grow my own blueberries, and with the help of a seed maker, I can keep growing blueberries indefinitely. I immediately returned home and sacrificed one of my hops plants for this sacred blue fruit. The next day was spent crawling through the mines. At the late hour of 12:30 a.m., I finally hit level 100 and retrieved the reward of my first star drop. Your mind is filled with the thoughts of capitalism. You are filled with determination to make more money. On day 38, I took a relaxing stroll in the rain picking up grapes when I ran across this cute little buddy. I spent a minute to contemplate how simple and beautiful his froggy life must be. Frog Friend doesn't have the weight of an entire corporation weighing down on him to uphold the company's values and standards. Frog Friend does not think about the optimal farming layout or which crops have the best gold per day values. Frog Friend does not care about the politics of Joja versus Pierre or Mayor Lewis's questionable spending habits. The thought of throwing it all away flooded into Employee 413's mind before he snapped out of it. If Joja wasn't his destiny, then he would not have been born with blue hair. I approached the frog, and just as its tiny body collided with the water's surface, a crack of lightning and thunder shot out across the sky. This was an omen. What kind of omen? I don't know, but it was an omen. My hops were finally ready for harvest. These would continue to produce hops every day for the rest of summer. I held on to them until I had some kegs to turn them into pale ales that would net me 300 gold each. The hops in pale ale are a great alternative to the blueberries I wasn't able to mass produce in my 100 days. With the money I've made in the last few days, I expanded my farm and bought more melon seeds and some radish seeds to plant. The next morning, my first harvest of melons were ready. I can get one more harvest of melons before fall, so I planted 128 more melons. While I ran my errands for the day, I decided to stop in at the wonderful Joja Mart that always has all the products I could ever need in stock, and purchased a Joja light. I hung the light on the wall and bathed in its cold, artificial glow of capitalism. At the end of the day, I made a nice 21,000 gold from my melons, and earned the Cowpoke achievement for earning 50k gold. We are well on our way to having earned 500,000 gold. On day 42, I made it to the bottom of the mines and retrieved the Skull Key. Not sure if I'll ever go into the Skull Caverns, as there's nothing particularly valuable or useful there for this challenge, but it's good to have just in case I change my mind. Back at the farm, I made myself a glowstone ring, which was much overdue. And finally, I made the sprinklers for my crops so I can stop role-playing as a sprinkler every morning. I greatly mismanaged my time, however, and passed out at 2 AM before I was able to finish putting all my new sprinklers down. I awoke to a letter from Harvey telling me that he found me passed out on my own farm and that he stole 1,000 gold from me for medical expenses? Next time, just leave me there to rot in the fields, Harvey, please. I got back to work and made 9 tappers and put them on my oak trees so that I could get closer to building my keg army. Then I dropped off my pickaxe at daycare again so it could level up to steel. While going through the town's trash for some hidden treasures, I made the horrible discovery of finding a super cucumber in Haley and Emily's trash. There's some things that are just better left unknown. One thorough hand washing later, and I picked up my new steel pickaxe. Day 47. I checked the traveling cart for any goodies and got extremely lucky again. I found a strawberry. With this strawberry, I could put it into a seed maker and get strawberry seeds that were previously unavailable to me. Thanks, Pierre. Once I get the greenhouse unlocked, I can plant the strawberry seed and continue harvesting strawberries and making more seeds to plant next spring. After this, I headed over to Robin's and had her start building a chicken coop for me. The chicken coop won't be a significant source of income, but it will bring in some money and will eventually get me the coveted rabbit's foot that I'll need for later. It's now day 50. We're halfway through the 100 days of being a capitalist corporate Joja Shill. If you've made it this far into the video, consider dropping a like or leaving a comment to let me know how I'm doing. Also, I've now learned how to make kegs, which means at this point, I can start making a lot more money. My first blueberries were ready for harvest, and Robin finished the chicken coop today as well. I headed out to Clint's to pick up my new copper hoe and drop off my watering can, and thought I would give him a gift to show my appreciation for all the hard work he's done for us so far. This makes me depressed. Alright, screw you, Clint. That was a gift from my people. On day 52, I made a few more kegs and got my pale ale production started. It was at this point that I realized it's almost fall, and I've barely spoken to anyone in town. One of my goals for this challenge was to date every bachelor and bachelorette and see the 10 heart event for dating everyone. So I packed my bag with a few gifts to hand out, and saw a few heart events along the way. After a hard day of socializing, employee 413 relaxed by the lake and did some fishing. They got me a whopping 3,000 gold. That's the most I've made in one day of fishing so far. My massive melons were ready to harvest again, as well as my radishes, peppers, and hops. This was my last big harvest for the season, so I began to rearrange my farm in preparation for fall. My aesthetic goal for this farm was paved parking lot. Now I know, it doesn't look like much now, But trust me, it gets there eventually. At the end of the day, my farming got to level 9, which means I could now craft the seed maker and start turning those blueberries into seeds. In total, I made 53,000 gold from this end of summer harvest. That's perfect because I plan on investing most of that into cranberry seeds come fall 1st. It was now the last day of summer. I harvested the last crops of peppers and hops and made the final adjustments to my garden. I invested in some wheat seeds to keep my garden hoed between seasons to help reduce the amount of work I'll have to do on the 1st of fall. I end summer year 1 with 87,000 gold in my pockets. On the first day of fall, I went all in and watched as my money went into free fall. I bought 256 cranberry seeds. This will have a huge return though. Fall is going to be where I make the most of my money. Before I finished planting and before Robin closed, I ran over and bought the upgrade for the chicken coop. I finished planting and fertilizing my cranberries, and the farm was set. The next day, while fishing in the mountains, a train passed through town. I hustled over to see what goodies I could get from the train and... Joja sucks? Who wrote this? I showed my displeasure with the train car. I did, however, get 7 geodes from the experience. And with my coop now upgraded, I made my way to Marnie's to hire some new employees for the farm. Meet Cash, Money, Benjamin, and MasterCard, our new duck employees. Look, no one said I was good at naming my Stardew animals, and I'm not gonna start pretending that I am. Afterwards, I invested in another silo and then planted some pumpkins in the extra space I had on the farm. In the rainy morning, I stopped by Elliot's shack to celebrate his birthday. Elliot asked me what kind of books I like to read. I figured Employee 413 would probably read mystery novels, being a wonderful blue mystery himself. After our talk about books, I gave Elliot his birthday gift, and he absolutely loved it. We were now at 5 hearts with Elliot, way more than any other person in town. Great for getting us closer to 10 hearts with everyone, but it made me realize I was pretty far behind with a lot of the other bachelors and bachelorettes. On day 64, our first crop of cranberries were ready to harvest. I then collected the oak resin that was ready for harvest and made a few more kegs as well. I spent the rest of the day running around town collecting as many blackberries as I could get my hands on before nightfall. That night, I got the Homesteader achievement for making 250,000 gold, as well as a visit from a witch. Not only did I now have a void egg that would become a new employee, but I also made a whole 59,000 gold from this day alone. With this new influx of money, this is where things really get rolling in this challenge. I purchased my first community development project, the greenhouse, and then the next day I purchased the minecarts. Later that day, I finally got enough friendship with Marnie to get into her room and steal Mayor Lewis's lucky purple shorts, which I proceeded to parade around my farm, and then headed over to Robin's to get the last upgrade for my coop. On day 69, my cranberries were ready to harvest again. It was also Abigail's birthday, so I brought her an amethyst, bringing her up to 5 hearts with me. I then planted my strawberries in the planter inside my house to get ahead for next spring, and turned my blueberries into seeds with the seed maker. I also planted a few strawberries and blueberries in the greenhouse. The next morning, I took my fortunes to Joja and unlocked the bus to Calico Desert, and then my void egg finally hatched. The default name that showed up was Shoos? Shus? I don't know. I thought that kind of looked like it said sus, so I decided to name my new employee Suskin. Like sus. Chicken. Suskin. It made sense at the time. I then decided it was finally time to build a shed to house all of my kegs. Day 72 was the Stardew Valley Fair. This is the day I had been waiting for since Mayor Lewis asked me to find his lucky purple shorts. I knew I had to represent and incorporate both the essence of Lewis as well as our overlord's Joja Corporation. Working on a limited budget and ignoring the fact that I actually didn't prepare anything for this holiday outside of the shorts, this was the best I could come up with. I I think it looked lovely. And yes, that was one of the super cucumbers I found in Haley and Emily's trash. Mayor Lewis was not thrilled to see his shorts on full display. Of course, like the corrupt mayor that he is, Mayor Lewis paid us off to keep quiet. I'm keeping my eye on you, Lewis. Afterwards, I spun the wheel for a while until I had enough tokens to buy the star drop. It's strange, but the taste reminds you of capitalism. I'm not sure what capitalism tastes like. And I'm not sure I want to know. With the Stardew Valley fair over, I purchased the bridge repair at Joja the next morning, and then bought the last community development project the day after. I have to say, this was my first time doing a Joja run, and it was so much less stressful than trying to get everything for the community center. I was also able to get everything done and unlocked much sooner than I have in any community center playthroughs that I've done in the past. To celebrate the completion of the community development projects, I ordered myself a horse stable. A little overdue, but better late than never. The next day, we got to see the ceremony for completing the Joja community development projects. Employee 413 has really come a long way in the eyes of the Joja overlords. And my reward for all this hard work I put into my thankless job was a pizza party! Actually, it was just a Joja soda machine. Gives the same vibe though. With all that done, there were only 2 things left to do in this 100 days challenge. And that was to make as much money as possible, hoping to reach the 500,000 gold mark, and to see the 10 heart event for dating everyone in town. Well, back to the grind. Day 76, and I purchased 2 rabbits, and named them Product 1 and Product 2. Their sole purpose is to produce me a rabbit's foot. How they do this? I have no clue, and that's their secret to keep. Then I talked to Robin to start my house upgrade. Gunther stopped by the next morning to give me the rusty key to the sewers. Then, while checking the wares from the traveling cart, I spotted this industrial pipe. It spoke to me, and I knew it would fit in perfectly in my Joja-themed house. And it fit like a glove, like it was always meant to be there. Eventually, I found my way down to visit Krobus. I look forward to buying many iridium sprinklers from him in the future to power my ever-expanding farm business. He did not have any for sale this day, however, so I just bought the star drop. Your mind is filled with thoughts of capitalism. Of course it is. I'm already rethinking and replanning my farm layout for maximum profit using iridium sprinklers. Back at the farm, I paved over some of my old fields, and then carved Joja's logo into the land with their signature blue color. 2 days later, I awoke to a beautifully larger house. I'm gonna need more Joja-themed decorations. That's better. At this point in the challenge, I had decided that building some Junimo huts on my farm would fit my aesthetic perfectly. So I headed toward the train station to get started on the wizard's quest. He told me that his ex-wife, the witch, took his magic ink in the divorce, but now he needs it back. This is way above employee 413's pay grade, but we agreed to help him anyway. I made my way into the sewers to talk to Krobus about a dark talisman, but Krobus told us that he lost it in the mutant bug lair. I went inside and slashed my way through until I found the dark talisman. I took the dark talisman back to the door behind the train station, and it opened a pathway to the witch's hut. Blocking the way was a goblin henchman, who was easily bribed with some void mayo. I quickly ran inside and grabbed the magic ink off the table before making my grand escape back to the wizard's tower. Now I can add breaking and entering as well as petty theft to my crime resume. After this ordeal, I can now build Junimo huts on my farm. With the last cranberry harvest in the shipping bin, I ended fall making 37,000 gold for the day, and a total of 133,000 gold in my pockets. Winter 1st. I now realize that at some point I surpassed the 500,000 total earned gold goal that I set for myself. We're currently at 640,000 gold earned, and in my opinion, I think I could describe the farm as a high-profit factory farm. I feel like there's some room for improvement on the high profit and factoriness of the farm, but for what I've achieved in 3 seasons during year 1, I'm proud. By winter 1st in year 1, I managed to complete all of my goals set out, except one. I neglected to talk to the townsfolk for most of the year, only really giving them gifts starting in fall. I highly doubt, in the 15 days that are left in this challenge, that I'm gonna be able to get all the romanceable characters up to 10 hearts and see the event for dating everyone. But, with that being said, I intend on completing the 100 days, and then finishing out the rest of the game year, so I'll try to get as close as I can. Day 86. I harvested the cranberries I planted in my greenhouse to get me through the winter, and then took my first trip to the desert. I bought the starfruit seeds that I'd need to make some Junimo huts, and then I decided to brave it in the Skull Caverns, but only made it about 7 levels before I said F that. Once back at my farm, I sacrificed some cranberries to grow the needed starfruits in my greenhouse, and then turned some blueberries and strawberries into seeds for the next year. The next day, I planted the quarry area up with tree seeds so that I could mass harvest wood in the future, and then started the deconstruction and remodel of my farm. On day 89, I found myself wandering around in the snowy woods. I stumbled upon the hat seller and took one look at this blue cool cap, and I knew. It was Employee 413's destiny to wear this hat. I placed my blue crown on my blue hair and became Cooler Employee. Winter 8th was the Festival of Ice. I picked up 2 icy rugs and a Frozen Dreams painting from the Traveling Igloo, simply because they were blue. Then I participated in the ice fishing contest. Like all things Employee 413 tries to do, he succeeds at, and Lewis named us the winner. For some reason, all other NPCs will say my full name of Employee 413 with the £, but Mayor Lewis has never said the £, he only ever calls me Employee. I guess we must be on first name basis. Once back at my house, I put down some blue flooring and the new blue rugs that I bought, only to learn that the rug and the bed do not line up with each other. The horror! Literally unplayable now. Day 94. Pierre sent me some mail advertising that he's now selling the bouquets in his shop. This means that we must have gotten one of the romanceable NPCs up to 8 hearts. I also received a letter from Abigail asking me to come to her room at night. I guess I know who I got to 8 hearts with now. That night, I waited out front of Pierre's shop, looking in like a creep, until it hit 8 PM sharp. Oh. Okay. I see how it is, Pierre. But then, while wandering around the town at night, I came across Abigail hanging out in the graveyard. She must have snuck out of her house after Pierre locked me out to stop me from seeing his daughter. He was not happy to find us hanging out in the graveyard either. On day 99, my starfruits were ready for harvest. I took my materials and headed for the Wizard's Tower. I built 2 Junimo huts on my newly renovated farm. That night was also the first day of the night market. I bought 4 frog statues because... why not? Day 100. The last day of this challenge, technically. I ran around town and hunted down every bachelor and bachelorette and gave them all gifts. I hustled hard to try and get their relationships up as much as I could with what little time I had left. After all that running around, Employee 413 took some time to relax in the spa. Even here, it's so blue. Everything reminds me of Joja. At the end of all 100 days, I had 63,000 gold on me, and 766,000 total gold earned. We bought the Joja membership and completed the Joja Community Development Program. We met and surpassed our goal of making 500,000 total gold, and we did it all while boycotting Pierre. The only thing I was not able to do was date everyone in town. I tried though. And how close did I get with the goal? Well, SevBastion, Abigail, and Elliot were all at 8 hearts. Penny and Harvey were at 6 hearts. Leah, Sam, Haley, and Shane were all at 5 hearts. Maru and Alex were at 4 hearts. And Emily was at 3 hearts. And here is how much of the farm's renovation I was able to get done. Although I completed the 100 days, I continued to play through the end of the year. I made some final adjustments to my farm and continued to make as much money as I could. I kept turning my strawberries and blueberries into seeds so that I could have an easier time in the spring and summer. I also dedicated a large chunk of my time to run around and increase my friendship with everyone. On day 107, I purchased 768 rhubarb seeds that I would need for next spring. When I returned home, I built and organized this chest storage area on my farm, and then filled the kegs in my shed with cranberries to start producing wine. It's now the feast of the winter star day. I awake to a whole bunch of strawberries ready for harvest and processing, and after my morning chores on the farm are done, I made my way to town for the festivities. Willie was my person for Secret Santa this year, and I gave him a lovely sea cucumber. I think Willie's the only person in Pelican Town who would be happy to get a sea cucumber. Then it was my turn to receive my gift. Penny was my gift giver, and she got me... Wait, is this an engagement ring? Penny, what are you trying to say with this? Then I harvested the cranberries in my greenhouse one last time before replacing them with some fresh strawberry seeds. And now, it's the last day of the year. I made some last-minute adjustments to my farm and then added the grass starters to the animal fields. These grass starters will grow a massive amount of grass when winter turns into spring. And to finish the day, I planted as many winter seeds as I could make, all in hopes of keeping some of the field tilled for spring. And here we are. We made it through 100 days as a corporate Joja shill in Stardew Valley. I had a lot of fun doing this run, as I've never done a Joja run before. Even though I've played this game for years, I've learned a lot playing the game this way. If it didn't seem obvious by now, I fully intend to do a part 2, 200 days in Stardew Valley as a corporate Joja shill after this. Let me know what kinds of challenges you'd like to see me do in the next part. And also, once I date all the bachelors and bachelorettes in town, who should I marry in the end? Should I steal Abigail from Pierre as the ultimate insult? Should I marry Penny because I think she technically proposed to me? Or maybe I should marry Shane to show him he really does belong to Joja. I don't know. All the options sound pretty interesting to me. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have an awesome day.